This is Daria Shabad with Corporate Profile reporting on the news for Monday, April 8th, 2013. Today in the news, Britain's Ion Lady Margaret Thatcher has passed away at age 87. Wikileaks publishes 1.7 million U.S. diplomatic records, and North Korea suspends its last project with the South while Putin remembers Chernobyl. Margaret Thatcher, the Iron Lady who dominated British politics for 2 decades, passed away today at age 87 following a stroke. The tough and outspoken Margaret Thatcher was Britain's only woman prime minister and led the Conservatives to 3 election victories, governing from 1979 to 1990, which is the longest continuous period in office by a British prime minister since the early 19th century. She was a controversial figure who was equally loved and loathed. Her combative nature antagonized allies in Europe, and her intolerance of dissent eventually led to her downfall. I urge you all to read more about her, a truly fascinating person. Rest in peace, Maggie. Students of politics around the world rejoice. Wikileaks has just published more than 1.7 million U.S. diplomatic and intelligence reports from the 1970s. They include allegations that former Indian Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi was a middleman in an arms deal, and they also include the first U.S. impressions of eventual British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. The documents have not been leaked and are available to view at the U.S. National Archives. Wikileaks says it is releasing the documents in searchable form called the Public Library of U.S. Diplomacy, and it will reveal the vast range and scope of U.S. diplomatic activity around the world. The data contains diplomatic cables, intelligence reports, and congressional correspondence running from the beginning of 1973 to the end of 1976. North Korea suspended its sole remaining major project with the South after weeks of threats against the United States and South Korea. Russian President Vladimir Putin says that any nuclear conflict may make Chernobyl look like a fairy tale. This has become one of the most serious crises on the peninsula since the end of the Korean War in 1953. Tension has been rising since the United Nations imposed new sanctions against the North in response to its 3rd test of a nuclear weapon in February. Pyongyang has been further angered by weeks of joint military exercises by the South Korean and U.S. forces and threatened both countries with nuclear attack. Russian President Putin said conflict on the peninsula could cause greater devastation than the Chernobyl nuclear disaster in 1986. I'm Daria Shabad with Corporate Profile. Make sure to visit our website at corporateprofile.com for more top headlines from around the world, as well as interesting business profiles. Post your comments, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.